Hey, welcome to another episode of the Couch with Rob Fields. I'm your host, Rob Fields. And did you miss me? Did you miss me, ladies and gentlemen? It's been a while, but we're back. I'm going to start the episode with this one question to all of my fellow podcasters. How in the hell do you guys have 2 years of content, 200 episodes with a family, friends, other hobbies, needing to sleep? How are you guys doing this? I want to be down. Help me get to the yams. How do I get to the yams? Ladies and gentlemen, how do I get to the yams? I'm trying to figure this thing out. It is very difficult navigating this podcast space with a full time job, with a family, with a wife that needs love and attention, with hobbies, with everything on the board. It is tough doing this job, but I'm back and we're going to keep this thing rolling. We're going to keep this train rolling. So, the issue that I struggle with in this whole space is just my priority list. And a lot of times when I'm not working, when I'm not doing family business, when I'm not hanging out or whatever, some things get bumped down on the priority list. So if we're going to do this podcasting thing the correct way, there has to be some quality control. All right. We have to be able to control the quality. And a lot of times if you don't put the right effort, if you don't put the right quality in, time into it, your quality is going to be jacked, and we can't be having that. All right. So it's been tough. Usually, when I get back to the crib, I don't want to talk. When I get some free time, I like to play PlayStation 5 to wind down. All right. And I think talking is a big part of this podcast business. You know what I mean? You have to have something to talk about. And I just want to make this public declaration to all of my people, especially my friends and my family members that I usually chop it up with. If you haven't heard from me in a long time, I know. I know. I ain't been on point. I probably haven't called a lot. I send you a little IG every now and then. I probably message you, see you shoot you a little quick text message. But I ain't got it. So if you feel like I haven't talked to you and maybe I might have told you that I was gonna call you, listen, I know. I'm trying to get better. You know, I'm trying to get better. But yeah, for all of my podcasters, just shoot me a message and let me know how you guys pull it off. Because I'm at a loss for words right now. All right, I'm at a loss for words. But this is the reason for the season, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to put something out real quick before the election kicks off in the United States of America. The election is taking place. It is a very, very, very important election. A lot of people might blow it off, but there's a little bit more at stake than maybe we even know, or maybe we even care to know. And I want to start the conversation off like this. All right. So I got my little notes right here. So more than $100 million have been legally wagered on the presidential election on X platform. So this is one particular platform. $100 million have been wagered on the next presidential candidate. And it's only a couple days left before the election takes off. So by starting it like that, you start to say to yourself, like, where are we in this whole thing? Like, what are we doing right now? Huh? We placing bets on the president right now? Huh? You putting up that real paper? Huh? You driving a couple dollars? I feel you. That's tough. And while I started off with that very unserious headline, it's a lot of serious business going on in terms of this election. Okay. So let me preface all of my statements right now with I am no one's electoral expert. I'm not a pundit. I'm not a person who sits there and looks at graphs and charts and tries to figure this stuff out. I am completely a 1+1=2 person. So I'm a common sense person. All right. And I try to keep things very basic. That's how I'm able to navigate through life and understand things. I keep it very basic. So that's what I'm going to do with this election conversation. And I want to start the election conversation like this. The Democratic Party is having some issues with some of their potential voters because the potential voters are thinking that the Democratic Party is playing it too safe. It's too good to be true. They say all the right things on the campaign trail. Everything makes sense, and then when it all comes down to it, a lot of questions aren't being answered by the Democratic Party. So a lot of people feel a betrayal. A lot of people feel helpless, et cetera, et cetera. And I won't even touch on what's happening over in Israel and all of that stuff. I'm not touching that. All right, because there's too much history involved. There's too much information that needs to be discussed, and we just no, I can't. I'm not going to do it. What I will say is I don't f with genocide. All right, so I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna go that route. I'm gonna take my own words and say we don't mess with that. All right, so we'll go there. Okay. We also on the other side of the presidential campaign on the excuse me the presidential race is the Republican Party, and the Republican Party is going full balls to the wall. Hey yo, they going balls to the wall. They going all out. Whatever rhetoric they feel is necessary for that particular time, they rocking with it. And on both sides, the presidential candidates are Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. These are the two people who are leading the presidential sides on each presidential side. This is what we're dealing with. There's two parties involved in this game, and both parties are about to go. They about to go at it. All right. And for us as the people, we're going at it in the voting booths. The reason why both of these things are important is because for me, like I said, when I start this conversation, I'm not going into policy because I'm not an expert. And if I go into policy, you would have me rambling about things that maybe I'm not 100% sure on, or maybe things that I'm not 100% clear on. So I'm not an expert on policy. However, I'm an expert on people. The way that I read people has gotten me very far in my life. The way that I read people have kept a lot of idiots out of my life. The way that I read people is that's where I'm an expert. And that's what I'll go into. So let's go into the Democratic side of things. Um, with Vice President Kamala Harris, she is very articulate. She's very strong. You can tell that she really knows her stuff. She's on point. And if we're talking about business, that's what you want. You want someone that is going to represent you. Because let's be clear, the presidency is business. You know, it's all about the people, blah, blah, blah. But no, 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 no. This is business. If I'm going to have her representing me internationally, I will put my bet on that. I will put my bet on President Kamala Harris being able to represent me internationally in the correct way, being able to be a face for our country, being able to be a person who can go into these rooms and speak for people like myself and try to prevent fighting and wars and all of this type of stuff. I would put my money on her. The issue is on the other side of the conversation, which is former President Donald Trump. Listen, former President Donald Trump is in some way very endearing to his constituents. I wouldn't call him a wordsmith, but you know, he knows how to make sentences that make people who like him feel good. He puts together the right words that make them feel good. And it may be misogynistic, it may be racist, it may be full blown idiotic, but this man knows how to make his constituents, his potential voters, feel good. So, where do I fall in this situation? So, first, I would like you experts, I would like you experts to tell me how a two-party system benefits a country such as the United States on a grand scale. Why does it only have to be one or the other? Are we lacking qualified individuals to run the country, or is it just not in the best interest of the system? So, for all of my experts, shoot me some information and let me know how it all works out, because I am not very clear on this. And I'm really a person who cares about who is the best candidate. So now let's go into Donald Trump and him possibly getting the second presidency. So let's be clear about it. His last time in office wasn't victorious. It was There was actually a lot of shame attached to it, especially for a person who's been playing basketball overseas for a long time and just kind of going to these different countries. And you hear people in the streets, or people like, I've had people like walk up to me, total strangers, and say, "You all right? You did you hear what he said yesterday?" And I'm looking at him like, "Nah, that president, that guy." The thing is, like, they're saying it nicely, but for real, they're really laughing. They're really laughing like this. And I can go a little bit deeper into it. And again, this is from a personal assessment, not a policy thing. When we talk about that person who's going to represent us internationally, that person doesn't need to just say all the right things. That person needs to be a leader. You have to have leadership qualities to lead a country. And I can only speak for me. I'm speaking for me right now. If you're going to represent me, I need you to really stand on business. If you're going to represent me, I need you to live in truth. If you're going to represent me, I need you to be exactly who I would be in that same position. If I tell you I'm going to do something, then I'm going to do it. If I mess something up, I got to own up to it. That's just me. So when I see someone in that position, I need them to be just that. The reason why this may be possibly going with Donald Trump is dangerous is because there's no level of accountability on any side of the coin. Everyone is talking about, oh, the diplomacy it's it's at risk. We're going to lose it. All of this, we're just going to lose everything. Like, no. The issue is that accountability will be thrown out of the window, and it will be a free fall. And just as much as everyone don't want to be controlled by the system, or what, imagine if this system that we all live in worldwide has no control. Imagine if this thing that some people may despise, imagine if there are no barriers. Imagine if everyone can get in. Imagine if you could do whatever you want. Are you ready for that? Because this man, the same man, led people to the Capitol on January 6th and had these people going crazy, breaking into the Capitol building. You had people getting their heads popped. You had all this crazy stuff going on. And look, he's running for president again. He got a second shot at it. Are you freaking kidding me? Now, mind you, most of us were sitting at home during this whole ordeal, watching it from our phones, on TV. Family members were calling. We were watching this thing live. We saw it happen. We heard exactly what he said to the people to have them run up there all crazy. We were there for it. And he still gets a chance to be the person that represents everyone in that country, in the country of the United States. So what I'm saying is, it's not about democracy. It's not about democracy. It's about accountability. Are we willing to throw that out the window? Is what I'm asking. Are you willing to? And we talked about the sports betting, right? So of course there are people betting real money on this presidential race. Okay, real money is being bet. There's also some other things that are at stake, and a lot of people won't. They don't really want to talk about it right now. But the other things that they're betting on that have way more value are they're betting real friendships. Friendships are being severed, like completely severed. 20-year, 25-year relationships with people are being severed. Relationships with family members. Families are being cut in half right now. In a metaphorical sense, of course. Families are now being split because one side is on one side and the other side is on the other. Families are being split. Business partnerships are being dissolved because of this election. There's real deal consequences behind who you vote for and where you stand in this whole situation. And I want to ask the people who really trust in this man, like, where are the leadership qualities? When that January 6th situation happened, he hid his hands. He hid. There were people getting beat up, people going to prison still to this day. People going to prison. He hid his hands. Now their families are crying out saying, man, like you couldn't get my son out of prison. You couldn't get my daughter out of prison. You can't bring my daughter back, et cetera, et cetera. This is the narrative that came from that. However, there's still people out here in full blown support of him, willing to risk it all for this man. This same man who probably wouldn't spit on you if you were on fire. And for me, I'm all about the best candidate. If Donald Trump was a better man, politics aside, policy aside, if he was a better man, maybe I would say, I see why people dig it. I see why people like him. I see why people are gravitating towards him. But he hadn't even shown that he's cool. Like, he hadn't even shown that he's a cool person to be around. Like, are you kidding me? Again, I'm not coming at you with no policy talk. That's something that I would like to sit down and discuss with people to learn more about it. That's what I'm on. But if we're talking about one to one, who do I want to represent me? I gotta go with Kamala Harris. She has a presidential flair about her. And again, it's about betting, right? You putting your vote on that? You putting your vote on one side or the other? All right. And I'm not even a betting man, but I would put my bet on her because I feel comfortable that she could represent me to these other countries, to these other continents. Like this is what I feel. And the presidential cycle is so crazy, right? This time around, we've seen dancing, we've seen arguing, bickering, we've seen freaking trash trucks pull up to rallies. Are you kidding me? What is this, man? What is this? I might be in the bunch that's just ready for it to be over. But I feel like this news cycle is about to get cracking. This news cycle is about to get cracking. I already know. I already know it's about to get popping. For these next 3 months, going into the new year, is going to be popping, man. So even on that end, I feel like we have to brace ourselves and just prepare for whatever. We're going to hear some crazy stuff. We're going to see some crazy stuff. So just get your minds wrapped around it. And at the same time, it's really a crazy time in our world. We're seeing so much on our phones. The comment sections are just vile. Wait till I post this on the podcast page, man. It might get a little popping in there. I don't know, man. I done see some I done see some stuff, man, in these comment sections, man. It gets crazy. Yeah, but all jokes aside, I'm really interested to see where this presidential election is going to go. And at the end of the day, man, vote for who you want to vote for. For me, again, I'm a 1+1 = 2 person. I keep it very common. I keep it very. My approach is very simple. Vote for whoever you feel you're comfortable with, and live with the results. I know some people right now that are saying to themselves, "I'm not voting. I'm not voting Democratic or Republican. I'm going independent. I'm going Green Party. I'm going somewhere else with my vote." And you know what? Respect. Go with what is going to help you sleep at night. Respect, big respect. If you don't feel respected by one Democratic Party or the Republican Party, you go to where you feel respected. You go to where you feel valued. And if that helps you sleep at night, there you go. Because again, I'm not the governing body over this type of stuff. I'm not the governing body. I'm just a person who's sitting here watching everything happen just like you are. And I also want to ask before, we kind of switch gears, how would you feel if one of the first videos that came out from a polling place, what do you call it? Yeah, the polling location. Uh, the first videos that come out feature some women in the video that you saw growing up. How would you feel? So I wake up a couple days ago, and everyone is sending me this video, and it's a viral video of this man flipping out at a polling location. There's some women there. Some fingers are being pointed, light shoving. It's a whole thing. It's a little mix up, right? And then when I look closely in the video, this is before I knew anything about what was happening. I didn't read any comments or anything. When I look at the video, I see a couple women that I grew up seeing. Come to find out, this video is from my home city. This is from my hometown, the place that I grew up in. This video is going viral. Then I call my people at home. Come to find out, somebody that I know like the back of my hand was in the room, saw it firsthand. Had to get up out of Dodge, had to move away, had to get away from the crap. You know what I mean? This is what's happening right now. So while I respect where you stand, wherever you stand on one side or the other, you got to understand that it's starting to hit close to home for me. That's why I felt it was important to make a podcast episode about it. Take time out to sit down and just kind of work this out. I'm working it out in my head right now. There were two women in that room for sure that I know. There were no men around. Like, it could have went left. Fortunately, every cooler heads prevailed, and it worked out to where no one got injured. There was no major police interference or anything. Like, it was cool. But it's hitting a fever pitch, and to be honest with you, and I don't want to put out any bad vibrations or anything, but I feel like it's gonna get tight. It's gonna hit a peak. One way or the other, it's gonna be a loud outcry. And we've seen what had happened, what that loud outcry looks like on the other side of things. We saw it happen one time before. We saw it happen. So to see my hometown, the place that I grew up, have that type of experience, and just having some people who grew up in the Jim Crow South, having some people who at a certain point in their lives were in cotton fields, come all this long way just to see something like that happen in a polling location, and have them flash back to those moments where it wasn't so easy to vote, to have people from that time period flash back to say, can we go back to where we were? Is it possible with technology, with this high level of knowing? Can we go back to where it was? And when I spoke to this particular person, I felt a fear come over them. It's like PTSD. I'm really from the South. I'm really from the southern part of the United States. I'm from there. I grew up there. I lived there. Like our elders lived through the worst parts, some of the worst parts of history, to now come to this place on this side in this time period to possibly think about going back. That's tough. So while I'm trying to make the episode interesting with a little, little comedy, little, lightheartedness, nah, this is real, man. It's again, vote for who you want to vote for, but you need to go with the person who's standing on business. You need to go with the person who's 10 toes down at all times. You need to go with the person who's willing to say, listen, this is what we doing. And this is coming from a leader. I'm leading. I don't speak too, I don't really be tooting my horn too much, but yeah. So please, ladies and gentlemen, don't take this lightly. Don't throw accountability out of the window. Accountability still needs to be on the table at all times. If we all are holding ourselves accountable, if we are holding our counterparts accountable, then it just makes for a beautiful world. Here's the pivot. So I'm going to pivot to this, and it's going to go back to the accountability conversation. A couple weeks ago, the WNBA wrapped up their season. So I'm happy for all of the women of the WNBA, the teams, et cetera, because we got to see some growth. All right. So we saw exponential growth on the uh, money side of things. We've seen exponential growth in terms of viewership, jersey sales, et cetera, et cetera. We got to see a lot of beautiful things, right? We saw Asia Wilson win her MVP award, well deserved. She's one of the greatest women's basketball players we've ever seen. She's a legend. She earned that statue out in front of the University of South Carolina. Um, we also got to see a big upset in the playoffs. So the Las Vegas Aces were favorites to win the championship. They got clipped by the Minnesota Lynx. Minnesota Lynx plays the New York Liberty in the championship, and New York City gets their first championship in a million years. In regards to basketball, they get their first championship, and it's going crazy in New York. The Liberty brought it home. It was a great finish to the season. It was a lot of drama. It was a little shaky on how the games ended. It was crazy to see, right? But we're talking about accountability here, and your boy, I said some things about the Queen, Caitlyn Clark, that I gotta take back. I gotta take it back, y'all. I said Caitlyn Clark's impact in her first season of basketball would be similar to that of JJ Redick's career. So JJ Redick was a specialist, amazing shooter. He was a basketball savant. He knew the game. He was tough as nails, a very, very valuable piece to every team that he played for in the NBA. But I said that would be what I saw Caitlyn Clark being. Ladies and gentlemen, it wasn't right. I was wrong. I was wrong. Caitlyn Clark is a superstar. She carries it well. She has a bit of a mystique to her because she don't talk that much. She just looks like a woman who wants to go out there and hoop. And that's something that I could respect wholeheartedly. Like I love those types of players that just want to go out there and play the sport and just be a full on professional. Caitlyn Clark embodies that. She hasn't shown. I mean, she wears it well. She wears it well. Those Indiana Fever games, people paying top dollar to see those games. She started off the season. Her stats wasn't, all that, but she she emptied the clip every game. She never left anything on the table. I'm just saying. I was wrong. We talk about 2024 and accountability. Listen, I was wrong. Men, you knew you liked that video. You probably shouldn't like that IG girl's video, right? You knew she didn't have no clothes on. You probably shouldn't have commented under that video. Tell your lady that you're sorry. Tell her that you messed up, man. You accountability. Listen, miss. You know you shouldn't have you shouldn't have went out with that other guy. You shouldn't send him. You shouldn't have sent him that picture. Just tell your man, listen, I'm sorry. I was wrong. Hey, that's me. All right, I messed up. Caitlyn, Miss Clark, if you will. I was wrong about you. You super nice, and I hope you continue to grow in your superstardom status. And when I'm giving Caitlyn Clark props, I'm not downplaying any of the other talent in the WNBA. It's something great, but yeah, accountability is real. Hey, listen, and also when we circle back to our conversation about this presidency and this election, there's gonna be a lot of people backtracking. There's gonna be a lot of people who was talking crazy in the comments section. There's gonna be a lot of people who's talking crazy at 4th of July cookout, at the Labor Day cookout. All these people who was talking crazy about their presidential candidate breaking up happy homes and family relationships and all this kind of crap. You're gonna have to do some backtracking. You're gonna have to call up cousin JoJo and be like, well, you're gonna have to call up your cousin if former President Trump loses and say, man, cousin JoJo, man, I was just playing, right? We grew up together, man. We grew up. Are you going to break up our family because of who I wanted to be the president, man? You're going to have this conversation. So what I showed you when talking about Miss Caitlyn Clark, you better get your words together. Because if you out here stepping on toes for President Trump, and it could be the same way if Kamala doesn't come through, it could be the same way. If you on one side or the other of this conversation and you breaking up relationships to support this person, you got to live with it. And this is where we are. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to hold you all day because, like I told you, I don't have a lot of time to do this right now. My goal is to get some fire guests on the show. I'm in rhythm right now. I'm sending out some feelers. Got some ideas in place. All right. So we're going to keep this podcast thing moving. I wanted to chop it up with you guys before the election takes place. And listen, I hope for the best. I'm worldwide. I've been moving around a little bit. I'm living in a certain place that's not home, but my home. But I'm always close. All right. I'm always tapped in. And I hope for the best come election day. Make sure that you guys keep each other safe. Make sure that you play fair. And let's see the best candidate win. Let's see if the best candidate can win. All right. The bets have been placed also. I'm not telling you guys to go out and bet because I'm not a bet man, but the bets have been placed. It's almost election day, baby. All right. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great one. All right. Keep your eyes peeled for the next episode. Hopefully it's going to be a banger. And yeah, y'all know how I give it up every time I get out of the episode. It costs nothing to be good to someone. Be good to someone today. I'm your host, Rob Fields. I've been missing you guys. Catch you on the next one. Peace.